Hey folks, Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge at the Redneck BBQ Lab at East Crossroads in Benson, North Carolina. Today I'm here in the RBL studios to show you guys at home how to make a traditional North Carolina style pork shoulder. But before I do that, please go down below and like this video for us. Subscribe to our channel, click on that bell, get notified when these videos like this get dropped in the future. Share this with your friends, help us share our passion for barbecue, our passion for North Carolina, like what we're showing you guys in this video with your friends. And above all, please leave your comments and your suggestions as to what you thought about this video or what you would like to see in the future videos that we'll do here. So let's start talking about pork shoulder. One of the things you always hear about barbecue is regional. North Carolina pork is king. However, the Redneck BBQ Lab, we sell more beef than we do pork, which is like, oh my gosh, you know, you can't do that. Well, guess what we do? We also don't do whole hog, and we also don't do hush puppies, which is North Carolina. But one of the things we do is we do cook a lot of beef, but we cook just about as much pork per day, per week, per month, per year as we do beef. And one of the cuts that we like to cook a lot is the pork shoulder. The reason being is it's not that it's the traditional whole hog, but that it is actually a less expensive version of the whole hog. Believe it or not, the cost of cooking a whole hog and the waste is really prohibitive on cooking it. Few people here in North Carolina still do it. God bless them. Keep doing it. Keep those traditions going. You guys are awesome. Ladies too. But we like to cook a shoulder. And the reason being is that there is a lot of fat. There's a lot of collagen in this cut of meat. There's a different texture. This meat here, this shoulder, is the forefront of the animal, of the pig, minus the hock and the hoof. It's this part cut here, being the forearm part is what we call the picnic right here. And then the upper part is what we call the shoulder, and it actually goes all the way up here, and they call it a butt. Now the butt doesn't refer to the hind quarter of the animal. This refers to how it is cut. It is cut, butt cut, like it's sawed off right here. And this also, the really cool thing is there's a little piece of loin that's attached here, the neck muscle part. And even forward to that, it's this prize part they call the pork collar, which is like the tenderest tenderloin, I guess, so to speak, of the animal. But today we're going to do the pork shoulder. Nothing in North Carolina is more argumentative. Well, maybe college basketball, but nothing is more argumentative on pork in North Carolina. A lot of the ways we cook it here, we agree on, but a lot of the different techniques, there's a million different ways we do it. And this is how we do it at the lab. So first thing we do, this is about a 14-pound shoulder. This is a small shoulder. Most shoulders are usually in that 16 to 18-pound range, these humongous pieces of meat. This will take anywhere from 14 to 18 hours, depending on how dense this meat is, how much connective tissue's in there and collagen and stuff like that. So somewhere between 14 to 18 hours will take to cook. We like these because there's very little trimming involved in these. These are ready to go. This is the inside. The outside, you can see up here at the camera, we have the skin on the outside and this fat cap, where this fat cap right here is the soft, buttery fat, and it'll help protect this meat as it cooks from the heat in our method we cook it. So first thing we like to do at the lab is just go ahead and throw this into some kind of vessel to contain it. We will use injection. The basis of our injection is apple juice combined with, this is probably 20 ounces right here. We use a lot more, but this is a pretty simple injection that you can use. It's about 20 ounces of apple juice, just regular apple juice, 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. If you really want to get technical, we only use Diamond Crystal, and 2 tablespoons of light brown sugar. We add this to the apple juice, along with another regional thing from North Carolina. This is Texas Pete hot sauce. This hot sauce is what I grew up on. It's something I love. It's much like the folks in Louisiana love their Tabasco. Here in North Carolina, we love Texas Pete. Kind of odd that it's called Texas Pete, given that it's made in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but that too is a different story. Now, I use probably about a tablespoon of this in the injection. It's one of the things that it adds kind of a little background flavor. It's got vinegar in it. The vinegar actually in the meat will combine with some of the fat that's in there, and it'll form what I like to coin the term Redneck Caesar salad dressing, which will help enhance the flavor of this meat. So the vinegar in that Texas Pete combined with the cayenne will give it kind of that heat. The vinegar gives it kind of an acidity. We've got the salt and the sweet. Those are the four components of barbecue to me: heat, sweet, salt, and then finally smoke. Let's start to combine this. You can, if you want to, do this over a stove. It's up to you. I've seen people like say you have to do it over a stove. I know world champions that microwave their sauces to get it hot. That'd be it. I just simply whisk it together. This injector is an injector that I use in competition. It's called a Spit Jack. I think it's made by Maverick is the company that makes it. It's can be found online, like many of the other things that we use here online at the Redneck BBQ Lab studios. You guys can find a lot of this online. So all I want to do with this is simply put a little bit of this into the meat. I'm going about every 2 to 3 inches, giving it probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 pulls off this Spit Jack. So I think each pull is about an ounce. I think that's how it works. You can actually see the meat kind of swell up a little bit when you do this. You can kind of see it start pulling out. That's a good sign that you've got enough in it. Right there, what I'm hitting is actually the scapula of the animal. Try to go underneath it. I'm not injecting it too much. I'm not putting a whole lot into it, but this will help. This will kind of ease out, believe it or not, when it starts to cook. We'll find it in a second. There it is. And there we go. Probably, I don't know, about 5 or 6 ounces is what we got in there. So probably each one of those pulls was about a half an ounce. So that's about enough. We could see some of this, the injection starting to come out of this. The next thing that we would like to do is we want to go ahead and coat this meat. I only coat one side. I only coat the meat side. The skin side of this meat, it'll do no good. Putting a rub on there, all it will do is help burn on the other side, turn it dark. The smoke and the heat will do that. And the seasoning on that side is just kind of a waste. So if we only season one side, we do use 2 rubs. First rub I'll use is our Redneck BBQ Lab all-purpose competition rub. It's the thing that I know you probably get tired if you watch these videos, you hear me. I put it on everything, and this is kind of where this haul started, was pork with me. I love this rub. This rub's based on the old corn chips, the Lay's corn chips of old. They just had this unique, smoky, sweet, salty flavor that I really, really liked. And I always just chased that perfect rub that reminded me of that, and I think I found it about 9 years ago before I started competing. So this is the Redneck BBQ Lab all-purpose seasoning rub. Finally, after that, I go and I do a top coat. We put our rib rub on here, our chicken and rib rub. This chicken and rib rub actually, it's won 2 world championships back in 2019. We won the chicken category at the Jack Daniel's World Series of Barbecue, as well as the pork category using this rub on it. We won our pork championship, actually blessed to win a championship of pork and a world championship in chicken last year at Jack Daniel's World Championship in Invitational Barbecue. And recently we just won the National Barbecue Association's annual awards. This was the first place chicken rub winner. That's like Peter Piper picked to peck of pepper stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna give this meat a little pat down of that base, that all-purpose seasoning. I always like to kind of talk about that. Is the base, is that the all-purpose seasoning is kind of the rhythm, it's the bass guitar in the background, and then you're going to kind of bring in the snare drum, kind of tickling. The snare drum is what this is, to kind of start the rhythm of a good band. Kind of the basis of it starts right there. So we're going to give this a pretty good topping of that chicken and rib rub. Give that a light pat too. Now, at the lab, we would take this and we would put this in the refrigerator. We put it in our cooler, walk-in cooler. We leave these on racks open, not covered. We leave them in there for about 6 to 7 hours. What happens is you get the air blowing across in that cool cooler, and it starts pulling out some of the moisture. The salt kind of goes in, the moisture comes out. In the moisture, there's proteins that come out, and as the salt comes in, this moisture comes out, and this chemical reaction occurs in this meat. It starts to form this kind of gummy surface area, kind of tacky looking stuff on it. That is the basis for what we call bark. As the meat heats up on the outside, the proteins set, they kind of lock together, they form this pellicle. That becomes, well, that's what we call the bark. And it becomes this barrier that won't let any more smoke into this meat, but it's really hard for the moisture in the meat to come out. So it's a very important process. And one of the steps you guys should do at home, have your refrigerator, put this in the refrigerator. You can do this, heck, you can do this for 24 hours. But anyway, right there, that is how we do it. And now, next thing to do is throw this in the refrigerator, let it sit for a while, and then we're going to put it onto a smoker to smoke overnight. All right, so we got the pork shoulder seasoned, we got the pork shoulder injected. Now we're gonna throw it onto the smoker. Smoker's running a little hot, it's no worries, she's gonna calm down once we put the meat on there. It'll soak in a lot of the energy and just kind of calm it down, so to speak. So let's go ahead and get her in there and get her ready for a long overnight nap. Good day, folks. Back at it. Look what we got. About 18 hours into cooking in that smoker. This pork shoulder is finally ready to go. We brought it inside off the smoker, wrapped it in some butcher paper, just kind of let it sit, let it kind of cool down, because she was really hot when we first got her. Went 18 hours. I probably should have pulled her a little earlier, but I wanted to make sure it was nice and tender for this video. So I don't think I dried it out based on the amount of juices that was coming out of it when I pulled this out of the smoker and was holding it, putting it into the pan. And based on what I'm seeing right now, there's not a lot of juices in the pan, so a lot of the juices stayed in the meat where we wanted it. So just to kind of recap what we did, this is the pork shoulder, whole pork shoulder. It is the part of the fore leg of the pig. It's cut right about here. This is the picnic part of the shoulder, this part right here. This upper part is referred to as the butt. The Boston butt is this section right here that kind of runs up here to here. And that's kind of what we've got right here. We injected this with a simple apple juice mixture with a little bit of salt and sugar, and added a little bit of Texas Pete to that to kind of speed things up on the inside in terms of the seasoning. We covered it with the Redneck BBQ Lab all-purpose seasoning on the outside, and then on top of that, we put on the Redneck BBQ Lab chicken and rib rub. And part of that, as we were talking about, we wanted to kind of develop, we wanted the proteins from the inside to come out, and we wanted the salt to go in between on the outside. It created that pellicle that you guys can see. Is this part right here of the animal. That is the bark. That is the part that people talk about as bark. This is not burnt. It's just a combination of where the salt went in, the protein went out, and it's a perfect example of how it protects this meat, keeping moisture out. Sure, you get the little fissures and stuff like that, like this right here, but you could have multiple fissures all over, and that can dry out a little bit. But I promise you, we're about to dive into this thing, and you're going to find out that it's very moist when you see it. So let's see what we got, you know, kind of like Christmas here in the RBL studios. First thing I'm going to do is I'm hoping this has calmed down because I'm not wearing gloves. Normally I wear gloves when I do this is I'm just going to reach right into that picnic. Now, one of the special things about whole hog or barbecue in North Carolina is that the whole hog is where this kind of originated, and the whole hog basically is what North Carolina barbecue is kind of known for. Here over the years, the price point of the whole hog has kind of priced us into doing these shoulders and these butts. To do these cuts of meat, not only they've got less space on the smoker, not only is there more yield per pound with these, but they're also cheaper, which I just don't understand. You figure a whole animal would be cheaper than a part animal. But even with this, it allows us to kind of get the same kind of thing going on as traditional whole hog. We get pieces of lean, which are kind of down here in this part, and pieces over here that are more moist in the shoulder, and it gives that kind of texture, those different components that when you bite into this barbecue, it's kind of what North Carolina is reminiscent about. Now, one of the things that you may say is right from the get-go is like, Jerry, there's no skin in this. You have to have skin in your barbecue. You know what? You can put skin in your barbecue or not. What we do with ours is the way that we cook these butts, and I didn't really talk about it in the smoker, is I cook our hog skin side down. I want that skin to hold the juices in to keep it from falling out of the meat. I want it to keep it in as much as possible, because that, when I combined it with my traditional North Carolina barbecue sauce, will help me create that redneck Caesar salad dressing that gives us that pop at the lab. It has that sauce, that thin sauce that's stuck to it, that when you look at it, it looks like a piece of meat, but when you bite into it, you're like, wow, there's a lot of seasoning going on this. And that is that redneck Caesar salad dressing I talk about. That is that pork fat that's right there that you can see, combined with a North Carolina barbecue sauce, this thin vinegar sauce. That comes together. It's a perfect marriage. It's a perfect bite of barbecue. My mouth is watering, so I need to get busy right now with this. So let me show you what we do. At the lab, traditionally, we serve North Carolina barbecue in restaurants here. It's finely chopped, it's minced up. Back in the day, a lot of people had tooth problems, and that's what it was. It was made for people that had teeth problems to be able to eat the meat and be able to digest it, importantly, back in the day, without any kind of dilemma in terms of trying to, process the food, and then food comes out the other end. But at the lab, we like to pull it into pieces. We like eating with our fingers at the lab. But if you come in to request a traditional North Carolina sandwich at the Redneck BBQ Lab, McGee's Crossroad in Benson, North Carolina, we will do this process for you. Typically, our process in the lab involves us just kind of rough chopping it into pieces like this, and we serve it to you like this, that you can either eat with a fork or you can pull apart, put a little barbecue sauce on, do a little of that. I'm sorry for that. That's my stomach doing a little dance right now inside. That's a great bite of barbecue. That is some moist, tender, juicy, smoky meat. That is some North Carolina traditional, Eastern North Carolina barbecue sauce, cayenne, pepper, vinegar, and it goes together. Today, though, we are going to do the traditional Eastern North Carolina style. We don't have the skin in this. Like I said, if you want the skin, the best way to do the skin is to take the skin off this animal, scrape all the fat off of it, dry it off with paper towels, put it in a dehydrator, dry it, bring it out, throw it into a hot vat of grease, and watch it pop into pig skins. I know there's a lot of people right now, they're just kind of shaking their head at me going, no, 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 no. You got to put baking soda on the outside with some salt and a lot of high heat to get the skin to pop and looks really cool. You're right, it does, and it is really cool, all except for one thing. When that barbecue or that skin gets wet or that skin starts to sweat from steam, that skin is not crispy anymore, and it becomes pliable, and it does not retain that crispiness. It actually becomes like this. So this skin right here, I think, you can eat it like that, or you can do like I said, we would process this back in. This skin is pliable. As you can see, a lot of times skin is tough. This skin, I'm tear it off my hands and try it like that. So it's up to you. Two different ways to do it. All right, now that we've got this traditionally in North Carolina, what we would do is we would sauce this in place. This is our traditional North Carolina barbecue sauce right here. This is what we made earlier today, and you guys can find probably later on in one of our future videos for this traditional North Carolina installment. This is basically a 50-50 mixture of vinegar with apple cider vinegar, salt, red pepper, black pepper, and Texas Pete hot sauce. And we are going to add what you think is way more than you think for this little bit of barbecue. Believe it or not, may not be enough. Pardon me, I have a really sharp knife here. Normally in North Carolina, you'll have two knives kind of chopping at once. We have a chopping block. We have had a chopping block specifically made for us. You can see it in the restaurant by Ed Swinson at Ed's Shape Shack. And typically we'd be doing this in a box. The North Carolina boxes have sides on them, and it keeps the barbecue from going. You could process a lot more meat a lot faster than you can think, but I think that right there is pretty good. And that right there is what North Carolina barbecue looks like when it's done and processed. A lot of times it's served in a tray, a lot of times it's in a plate, it'll come in a combo, but one of my favorite ways to eat Eastern North Carolina barbecue is right here on a bun. And this is how we do this, if you haven't ever seen somebody do it. You take that bun, you take it like this, and you put a little barbecue on it like that. Come over here, kind of give it a little mash. If it falls off the side, it's fine. We've got a little traditional Eastern North Carolina coleslaw right here. We're going to put just a little bit of that on top of it. Now, we're going to take a bite of this creation that we just made here together. Once again, folks, I am sorry. My mouth is watering. My sense of smell is just going off the Richter scale right now, but let's see if that 18 hours was worth it right here. Next 5 minutes you may hear on this video is just me eating the sandwich. I'm so sorry. That is so good. That is so good. Basically, it's that emulsion that I keep talking about has come together. The fat in there, and you can kind of see it. It's come together and it's holding together. It's sticking together. It's holding all these little fine chopped pieces together. And the vinegar and the fat is in there with a little bit of that salt. It's got the smoke. It's got that sweet, and that I can taste apple juice and that apple cider vinegar in there. You can get a little bit of molasses, not a lot, you know, but there's a little in there. But it's got that smoke in it from that 18 hours, that slow smoke, where we kind of put some of that bark in there, you know, that we worked hard to make. Oh man. Y'all figure out what I'm about to do for the next 10 minutes when we get done with this. Anyway, folks, I just appreciate you guys for tuning into this. I'm Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge, the Redneck BBQ Lab, McGee's Crossroad in Benson, North Carolina, here at the RBL Studios with my friend Mike Baker from Event Webcasting. We're putting on these informational videos for you guys. This is part of our traditional North Carolina series that we're doing. Please go to our channel if you love this and like the channel. Subscribe to it so you can see future videos like this. Share this with your friends. Leave your comments as to what you thought about this video and your suggestions as to other videos you'd like to see in the future. And as always, y'all be kind to one another. Smile, pass around that positivity. We all need it. Get through the day, get into tomorrow, be a great place for everyone. Love you guys, and I'll see you down the road somewhere.